Welcome to Pocket Watch Podcast. I'm Zach
Cruz. That's it. There was crickets. It was every button I didn't push.
That's why I was laughing. That was episode.
If you listened to last episode, I was trying so hard to find the crickets, and Zach had it this whole time. He's looking at me like I was crazy.
That's why if you just tell me, bro, I got you with it, bro. They're ready for it.
That's crazy. What's up, guys? Pocket Watch Podcast. Another week, another episode. Thanks
Another
for tuning
dollar.
in. Another dollar. And happy Monday. We're dropping on Monday whenever you're listening. Happy whatever day you're listening. Hope you have a good week. Whatever platform you're watching this on, please like,
Follow,
comment,
subscribe,
share,
tell your mom,
tell your dad,
tell your sister what's up.
tell your sister's dad, because we know your mama's not.
You're not your daddy's child.
Yes, sir. Nice quick episode for you. We got a good little topic that we
Nothing
kind of
crazy.
want to dive into. It's kind of like a loop around. It's kind of like a full circle. We mentioned degrees and stuff before, subtly, and other topics. We hit it hard on passion versus degree episode.
And I think we did degree versus no degree too. I think we did episode on that.
It was degree versus no degree. Passion versus money.
and then degree versus no
So we
degree.
hit it hard on degree versus no degree episode. That was before YouTube and shit. We've kind of touched on it.
Was it degree versus no degree?
No YouTube.
No YouTube back then.
Nope. That was like
crazy.
15 or something like that.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. That was the original. That wasn't our button.
That's crazy. It sounds similar though. That's crazy.
That is exactly who it is. But I saw an interesting article that I kind of wanted to discuss with you guys. With you.
Okay.
With you guys. With the listeners. Wall Street Journal article, employers rethink need for college degrees in tight labor market. First thing off the headline, and we'll get into the article. Tight labor market since fucking COVID.
Yeah.
Right? Like, since COVID,
My question.
employers have been hurting.
My question for that though is why? We know in the beginning of COVID, a lot of people were getting money, like from the government, so that's like, okay, everybody's making more money doing this, or a lot of people making a decent amount of money without having to work. Okay, but that shit's ended.
Support's done.
Years ago.
Yeah.
It's probably been like a year and a half since that shit ended. I think it was like July.
Yep.
What was it? July 2021, right? I think it's like whenever they finally cut the umbilical cord from most states. Anyways,
I'm not sure.
Somewhere around that time of like mid 2021, if I remember. So it's been a while since they cut that umbilical cord, at least over a year, and we're still having labor shortages in a lot of places. I mean, shit, I'm experiencing in my day-to-day life. The other day I went to where was I? I want to say it was like Wendy's or something like that, and I literally pull up and she goes, "I can only do fried food," and I was like, "You guys can only do fried food?" I asked her, I was like, "Did you grill out?" Just joking. And she goes, "No, I don't have a grill cook." And I was like, "Oh, okay." A fast food place didn't have a grill cook, so I can only order fried food.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, damn, it's like that, bro. So like even still ending of 2022, we're still having labor shortages.
In general, we're speaking in general. I'm sure there's niches that aren't shortage anymore or whatever the case is. But in general, it's still a tight labor market. Like this article is speaking in general. It's not talking about IT or accounting or
If you're in one of those markets, it's like that. Then what it is? I mean, even still, I think IT is. But yeah, anywho.
So I and we spoke about this on another episode, but I think the reason is for a lot of is speaking from an IT and accounting standpoint. COVID created a shortage period for a lot of jobs, right? But what it did also was come out with remote work, and that increased the competition level high, right? Because now, if you're a company in North Dakota hiring, if you didn't have a lot of remote options, you had to hire somebody from North Dakota or do a package to move somebody to North Dakota.
Yeah.
Like your market is way smaller versus a lot of companies went balls deep into this remote thing, and they have the world technically at their to be able to choose from to do certain positions, right? Like a lot of accounting jobs I see now, there's a lot of remote opportunity, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what that means is Cruz in Orlando can get a job in California or Texas or South Carolina or wherever versus before I'd have to move to those states where I'm not as inclined to take that job, right?
Yeah.
So I can see that causing a tight labor market because I can see turnover and I can see distribution changing significantly, right?
Yeah.
Like the distribution of able employees has changed, right? Like Florida, if you're a big company or whatever, you probably had a big market in Florida. You know what I mean? And now you're having to go elsewhere because a lot of people in Florida are working somewhere that's not in Florida, you know, because it's remote and stuff like that. So I think that has something to do with the labor market's tight because the competition's tight. You know what I mean? Like more companies are competing with more companies. I've done I've done an interview before pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And there was they were considering me because in their mind, I'm sure, cheap to bring in, even though we have to pay this move package.
Yeah.
And their main thing was we're getting bigger and we can't keep holding ourselves to the standard that this city can bring. You know, like if you're a big company in Daytona, you don't want to limit your resources to just what's in Daytona.
Yeah.
You got to bring people over there.
Somebody from New York or some shit that's used to it.
Right? Somebody, the best of the best. You know what I mean? Like, and on average, the best of the best is in places that has a high concentration of people, like New York, California, Texas, Florida. Like those big places usually have the highest, the highest competent and the best people. Like, because there's more people, not because that city generates better people. It's just
more people, more competition,
boom,
more experience.
Boom. If you got a pool of 1,000 people or a pool of 10,000 people, there's more likely that there's going to be more better people in the big group. You know what I mean? Like you have more to choose from.
Unless they from Alabama. Now
kidding. Alabama wants to hire too.
I'm just kidding.
It's true though. So now that you have remote capabilities, okay, now, Daytona is pulling people that Orlando was trying to hire.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So competition raises. I think that's something to it.
I agree.
But that's to the labor market side.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting.
I agree to that, but my biggest thing too with that is that I feel like that would even itself out because
it should.
Ideally speaking, it would even itself out, right? But like it seems like it's not.
And I'm speaking about my niche, though.
No, that's true. But I'm speaking like in a general sense, though, like because that could apply across many markets. But it's just interesting that we seem to not have an employee shortage, almost like the opposite before COVID.
Right.
It seemed like we had like an overage of employees because it seemed like a lot of people were jobless and trying to find things. I knew a lot of people that were like,
is it how? I wonder how and when we'll find the measure of those that made a pivot in COVID.
Oh, I would love to see
it.
I would love to see that statistic. I would love to see, and I know that the number is probably like astronomically high comparatively, but I don't know, man. And one of the things I would love to see about that is the people that made a pivot from like employed work to independent.
Yeah.
Like independent contractor or self-employed.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for, self-employed.
And
I'll be interested in that.
Some type of pivot that changed the nature of work.
Yeah. Because I know there's not that many people becoming social media influencers to create labor shortages worldwide.
We had them all on the podcast already.
For real though, like I know for a fact where there's not that many social media people. But you know what? Maybe there is.
It's how the labor market is still in a shortage.
Baffles me.
The remote thing is the best argument I got, but it can't be the only thing.
No, and it could be like the sum of many different factors that just happen to apply at once. People doing going self-employed, people finding online niches, whatever it is, like social media influences. It could be remote work. It could be death. I'm playing, but seriously, it could be a factor of many different reasons that caused it. And obviously, I think another factor was that a lot of people did kind of. I feel like people are spending and traveling more post COVID.
Yeah,
than they were pre-COVID, just because everybody was locked up for so long. And maybe since we live in Orlando, which is, the tourist destination of the world, so maybe we might be seeing it still. And in other areas, you guys have already started seeing.
But this is general, man. And
that is true, because that's an article from
Walmart. This is Wall Street Journal. This isn't specific to
Touche. You're right.
Us.
Correct.
But
now, when was the article published? Is it recent?
Yeah, it was November 26th.
Oh shit! So literally today. Oh, yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah. So I mean, it is interesting at the very least, and I don't want to say shortage, but it's tight labor market, right?
Yeah, because shortage is offensive to me.
And me, depending on what you're talking about. No.
Where's it at? No, it's no. There it goes.
There it goes.
See, I'm looking like Cruz now.
We gotta label them again. We think we know shit,
right?
But it's not necessarily a job shortage like it was during COVID.
Yeah,
but it just stated tight labor market, which is still interesting, because you would have thought, because I think we talked about, and we're gonna stop on remote and labor market, because I know we talked about this not too long ago.
Yeah.
But a reason why we were talking about it not too long ago is because we were seeing that stop. We were kind of predicting it to stop. We were thinking company, because at the time, and maybe still now, but businesses were laying people off.
Yeah.
Shit like that you were thinking. And even what sparked that episode was a article that said job security is having more value than job opportunity or something like that. That was the article, really literally insinuating that the labor market's gonna not be so tight anymore.
Because you were talking about how
from employer demand to employee demand kind of thing. Mm-hmm. That's what that article lended itself to. Now here we are, November 26th and
27th.
Today's
27th,
and we're dropping a week from now. So whatever we're saying could be bullshit.
3 weeks from now, basically.
Right.
But anywho,
now this person's so the labor market has been tight. Obviously, there was a shortage, tight, whatever, and now we're at the point where they're talking about how employers are rethinking the need for college degrees.
Yeah.
Right. And what's interesting while we're talking about the market is it shows percentage of U.S. job postings that require at least a 4-year college degree, right?
Yeah.
And it shows the amount required from 2019 to 2022. And 46% of job postings in 2019, pre-COVID, required a 4-year college degree. Mm-hmm. It has been declining, hit an all-time low mid-2020, which makes sense. That was our shortage time, right? So the job postings requiring a 4-year degree dropped all the way down to 34% in 2020. So it went from 46 to 34% in a matter of a year, which is the COVID job shortage shit.
Yeah,
and then it climbed up sporadically throughout 2021. But at this point, 2022, it's roughly at 40%. So we're still 6% down from pre-COVID.
And to add to that, because to touch on this article, it's actually true, because I'm trying to go the aviation route, and there were certain companies that used to require a bachelor degree
for that.
And you can have a bachelor degree in fucking art. It doesn't even matter. You would have to have a 4-year degree in something to even apply. For example, one of the biggest companies.
So stupid.
Yeah, one of the biggest companies was Delta.
Yeah.
Delta is one of the elite airlines in the United States, and they used to have a requirement for a 4-year degree to even apply to their company, and they've since dropped that requirement. They no longer require it.
I love this.
Yeah.
Let me just say,
and I think that, sorry to cut you off, there are certain careers where I can see the argument for a degree, doctor being one.
Yep.
But on the contrary, there are certain industries where I'm just saying you don't really.
Why are you requiring that?
Yeah, exactly. Because for a bachelor degree to fly a plane in your bachelor degree is in art, what the fuck does that got to do with flying a plane?
I love it for 2 reasons. For 3 reasons, actually.
Yeah.
A, I love the requirements going down. So, first of all, I like it because, like you said, at face value, if you are Delta and you're not hiring a stewardess or something like that, whatever the case is, because they don't have a 4-year degree.
That was for pilots.
Oh, for pilots?
That was for pilots. I don't know about like attendees or whatever.
So let's stick with pilot.
Yeah.
Let's just say there's a big portion that got bad degrees.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Let's just say a big portion of pilots got degrees that don't mean much.
Mm-hmm.
You're essentially picking them for reasons that have nothing to do with the job over people that are probably way more qualified with experience and whatever the case is. So like that requirement in itself is making you hire not qualified people, right? Like, or you're limiting your pool to less. That and you're skipping out on people that are probably way better because of a requirement that means nothing.
Yeah, because ideally speaking, I mean, obviously they had, I forgot what their flight hour requirement was, but they did require a couple of years in the industry to apply also. But in a general sense, you know, you can have somebody who went to school for an art degree or whatever, you know, not pertaining to pilots, like not pertaining to the aviation industry is what I'm trying to get at. And they decided, okay, this is not for me. And then they pivot to something else. You know, who knows? Maybe they went into sales. This is not for me. Okay, let me try this. Let me try that. And then they eventually decided, let me just go then become a pilot or whatever, right? And they're able to apply to Delta because they have the allotted requirement for hours and everything like that because they're bachelor's degree, which obviously they're not as devoted to the aviation industry, right? Mm-hmm. Somebody like that maybe, but I'm just saying. And then you have like the other person on the flip side that since they were a kid, they wanted to be a pilot. It's like they eat, shit, sleep aviation. You know, they were...
And because of that, they never got their degree in some stupid shit.
Exactly. So like their father was a pilot, their grandfather was a pilot, and you know, maybe their father fought in the fucking World War II, or their grandfather fought in like World War II or whatever, and like it's like they have this burning passion for it. And instead of going and getting a degree, because there's different ways you can become a pilot. You can get a degree in a pilot, or you can just do it like a Part 61. Anyways, but let's say they go Part 61 route because it's the fastest way for them to do it. They have 10 years of flying experience versus they're the same age as the next person, but they have 10 years of flying experience. Yep. Clean record versus somebody who only has a couple of years of flying experience for the airlines. And then they choose that over the guy because he has an art degree versus the guy that has this burning passion for it.
Yeah.
So I just can't follow that.
No, and it doesn't make sense. And the article talks about that, and it's great. Where a lot of execs are saying this has not made sense.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
we should have done this years ago.
Yeah.
And I love it. Walmart talked about it, right?
Yeah.
So Walmart, one of the execs from Walmart was saying we're much rather leaning towards experience over a generic 4-year degree.
Yeah, and
it's because there's too many people we said no to that we knew we lost a good person.
Yeah.
Because of that stupid requirement, right? And it makes so much sense because it's like, okay, you got your degree, and I'm not trying to shit on degrees, but we are. This is what this episode is. It's technically kind of shitting on degrees, but like
to a certain degree. I mean, considering this guy's in his master's program right now, you know.
And we're gonna talk about that because I've seen some shit in my market.
Oh God,
that's been triggering.
All right, cool.
So to stay on what I was saying,
Walmart and everything.
There's somebody that has good personal skills that like you're looking for a manager at Walmart, right? There's somebody that has been doing this for years and knows the ins and outs of the business and has great interpersonal skills, XYZ, but they don't have a 4-year degree. Yeah. And then the person that has the 4-year art degree or communications or something that's not relevant that spent their time doing that instead of getting the necessary skills needed, is getting that job, right? And I love that they're speaking out against this and saying that we're going towards experience and we should have done this years ago because companies doing this, like this article, right? Going more towards experience and relevant degrees. Let's just say that. Yeah. Right? Like certain things they know, like if I need a CFO, he needs an accounting degree and XYZ. If I need a engineer, I need to make sure he has XYZ or whatever. But like manager, I don't need no fucking degree. Yeah. You know what I mean? If you have it, great. You're pushing yourself to the top. for something specific if you have that degree. But other than that, I want experience.
Yeah.
That's such a great way of going about it. Because you know what that also does is if companies do this, it corrects some of the other conversations we've had as far as like student loan debt and shit like that. Because when 46% of your job postings require a 4-year degree, right? And let's just say half of that were jobs that really didn't need a degree, right? Like let's just say half of those were doctors, accounting, engineering, IT, whatever. And then the other half were stupid manager positions that just say 4-year degree required and there's no specification. You're now de-incentivizing people to just go for fun or no reason and more incentivizing people to get into the field.
Yeah.
For that niche that level.
Exactly.
And that corrects people going to get stupid degrees and having a shit ton of debt that you can't do nothing with. You know what I mean? Like it corrects that because no longer does this general degree or something that's not specific to anything or, you know what I mean? That no longer has value. Now I can see colleges not liking this.
Yeah. Of course.
But it corrects that student debt situation. If companies, because that's something we never talked about with this whole student debt. People are getting stupid degrees and XYZ and can't do nothing with it. But some of that is a lot of people that go and get those dumb degrees think and actually are validated with the thought of I could get anything and then that will help me get something.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's true. But like the more of that will help me get something, the more that kind of like gets more specialized and decreases. People aren't just going for anything anymore.
No, of course, yeah.
And I think that helps a little bit. Like
that's
an underlining situation that we haven't kind of touched on. Where if companies react this way, eventually people will react this way.
And I'm all like he was saying, I'm all for going to school so that doing what you need to do, but get something that's going to benefit you, or go for something that is actually going to like help propel. I want to say propel like the drink. Help propel you into your career. And exactly, and on the flip side of that, for companies, require degrees that are going to benefit your positions.
Yeah, don't require a degree that doesn't matter.
No, exactly.
If you can't, and let's talk about it, because I've seen some things in my niche, right, where they go accounting, finance, or equivalent degree required. How about take off the equivalent, right?
Yeah.
And then also, to your point, if you can't put a special degree, don't require it.
Yeah, boom. Like, just like that.
If you have to say general 4-year degree required, take it off.
Yeah.
If you can't pinpoint what is required for this, don't use it. And that's kind of what this article is talking about. And that fixes a lot of things.
How do you feel about general AA degree instead of a bachelor degree? Because bachelor, I feel like, is more specialized degree versus like a AA or general studies kind of gives you like that one up, a little bit more advanced math, a little bit more advanced English. What do you think about that? From
the perspective of if you want to do better, you have to be better, you should do it. Right? But also, you don't not, like, at the same breath, don't go and not do anything while you go get your AA. Right? So, like, if you're working and you feel like there's a path that you could get if you do XYZ, you should go get your AA. So you have a stepping stone to be able to take that next step if you want, right? Because if you want to be better, you should do better, kind of thing. But at the same breath, if you know your path and it's not really needed, don't not do anything to do that. Right? Like, don't not get experience in this to have zero experience to do that.
Yeah. No, and I agree with that. I just don't understand like the whole 4-year bachelor degree thing for nothing. If companies ask for like AAs, if they justify with the position being a higher paid position to be able to get overall more educated person, okay.
It might show that they're task oriented. They could schedule maybe.
But my yeah, exactly. That's
might show that.
Yeah. And that's the argument on the aviation side. is that's what the argument that everybody makes for Delta requiring the 4-year degree is because, it shows that you can stick to something. I'm like, oh no, getting 1,500 hours in the most grueling and hard fucking 8-hour fucking test getting by basically a drill sergeant doesn't show that you want to do it.
No.
But the fucking 4-year degree.
Sides. My niche.
Me too. I see both sides.
My
too.
niche, along with like my favorite mentor that taught me so much.
Yeah.
In business and how to operate in corporate settings.
Yeah.
Has no degree.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, really?
So that doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean? While it does, it doesn't. You know, because like I said, there's that. While that stands, you can't have that as a sole requirement.
No,
it kind of shows how lazy you are in recruiting.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I love like certificate programs.
Yeah,
because
specialized.
Yes, because of specialized, you can go and go get a certification for welding.
Get your AA, get a certification in something you're trying to get.
Exactly, yeah. Certification in welding. You can get certification in so many different things that you want to do.
Yep.
HVAC, electrical, whatever.
Systems, tax.
And
whatever you want to do, bro. Like, I mean, some things need it, but it proves true.
Yeah.
If we could have a real striver and a Jamel Brentley on that don't have accounting degrees, but they got all these certifications and specialize in something in a field that you should kind of technically have a degree in. Yeah. How come you can't do that? You know what I mean? Why is it not viewed differently as a manager or something more general?
And that's what I was going to get at is that I think that there needs to be more acceptance and a broader studies of certifications. Yeah. Because I don't think that you can hold somebody that went to school for a welding degree against a certification, like in a general sense, and especially if you did like a vast number. If you took like, let's say you took 10,000 people that got a degree in welding, right? Is there even a degree in welding?
I don't think so.
There's not?
No. It's a trait.
It's a trait, right? That's what I was going to say. I was like, I don't think there's even a degree in welding. But if you took like 10,000 people that got a degree and that are welders, it took 10,000 people that are certificates that got certificates in welding. I don't think you can see any difference.
No, 100%.
I'm pretty sure there's probably a degree in welding though.
And you know what? It comes with how they recruit.
Yeah.
So like something like this makes me excited because until you recruit that way, people are incentivized that way.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you tell people, and it's always been a debate for the most part. But like school can fast path you, but experience is really what you need. But like the percentage of impact has always been blurred.
Yeah.
But if you tell people we are considering 75% experience and just a 25% of your degree.
Yeah.
Now there's not so many kids going straight to school and not doing nothing. Yeah. Right? Like I'm a full-time student for 4 years after high school. Like there's not so much of that. Yeah. You know what I mean? When the recruiters are telling you you're missing out on 4 years of experience. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if you get your degree now, you still got to go get that experience before you get paid, which still exists now. It still exists, but it will be more magnified. Yeah. If this is how they recruit actually. You know what I mean? Because then more kids are concerned about, well, I really want to do this. I know I want to do this, but I'm really hurting myself if I don't work in the field some way or another while I'm going to school. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like what I did with inventory and stuff like that ended up being a specialty when I got my degree. You know what I mean? Which is cool, but it's also a niche. You know what I mean? Versus getting a management degree but never working in a warehouse and then applying to a warehouse manager position. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like that should be obvious that you do not hire for a degree. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it should just be literally a 20% consideration where you're showing me experience and because you did this, you're now eligible for XYZ. It should not be a requirement for a position, especially like we said. If you say, even in my niche, accounting, finance, or equivalent, take the equivalent off. What are we doing here? Yeah.
What would be even the equivalent?
Economics, or depending on what you're doing.
Economics would be equivalent?
I don't know. Depending on what you're doing, maybe. Same thing with computer science. Those worlds get a little more gray, though. Yeah. I will say.
And one thing I'll say, too, to add to that is that they might have the equivalent, but when they say equivalent,
that's sub-tier.
It's sub-tier. So like somebody comes in with an accounting degree, they're probably going to be
met that.
Yeah, they're probably going to be beating you off rip.
But the same should exist for if you can't put a degree required, don't.
Yeah.
And then if you come in and you have something that's like somewhat, then that's a plus.
Yeah.
That's your 20% plus or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I think that's crucial. That's a crucial point in what we talked about with student debt and how people are going to school and stuff like that. And when the requirement for degrees drops, it's got to put pressure on what degree you choose now. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if the requirements for degrees are dropping, that means if you're not getting a good degree or something specialized in what you want to do, then you are no different than those that don't go. And I like that. Because technically you're not. And if anything, you're less because you didn't get experience while you're doing that. You know what I mean? Where that person that didn't go was actually doing bagging and whatever the case is, right? Or it was actually working in the warehouse. You know what I mean? Like, that's the person that deserves that or is actually more qualified, And then it goes to the next point where they talked about, so like when experience is way more heavier than the degree, it brings up the thought that, and they say it in the article, even though education is supposed to open up doors and windows of opportunity, they have, in some ways, become a means of closing off opportunity going to school. And what they mean by that statement is what we were talking about. People that are getting some of these general degrees that might not mean much are losing out on experience. And now they got this degree that doesn't mean much, and they also have no experience. And they're essentially in the same spot they were 3 or 4 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's true. I can see that, right? Like, and I like that is being highlighted, right? Because that's all we were saying in some of these. It's like, we're talking about student loan debt, but what's the portion of people that have student loan debt that are getting stupid degrees? Yeah. And the more that these recruitment services and stuff are highlighting that the experience weighs more, now those that are getting their stupid ones are okay. I'm kind of no different than somebody that didn't go at this point. I love that solves multiple issues. The other thing with that, where we go to school for opportunity. Yeah. And it is funny when school restricts opportunity. I have a classmate in my MBA program. Our MBA program is co-work, so it's like not online. It's like, you got to come to class and stuff like that. That was one of the reasons why I joined it. But I got a classmate that was talking to me, and he was talking about how he's looking for different opportunities, like different jobs and stuff. He's not happy where he's at, whatever. But
damn, boy.
I know.
Right in the mic.
But it's funny because a lot of the opportunities that he was presented doesn't really allow him to come to class on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Yeah. Yeah. And it's hilarious because it's like, and he's struggling with it. He's like, man, like, I'm doing okay and I really love this program, but like, man, this opportunity is crazy, Yeah. And this opportunity is crazy. But both of those opportunities require me to stop this program and do like an online version or whatever. And I told him, I was like, what did we do this program for? Like, what are we really going to get our MBA for? Now, there's a lot of people that there's a lot of tools you could get from an MBA program, no doubt. Yeah. But if you're not very good before you get your MBA, you're not good after you get your MBA. I'll tell you that right now. And we're going to get our MBA for opportunities. You're not going to be that much better after you get that program done. I don't believe so. And to turn down opportunities to do something that the purpose was to get opportunities. You know what I mean? It's kind of like there's some metaphors about it or whatever, but it's like the pursuit of happiness. That little kid had a little joke where he was like, this sailor got stranded in the ocean, his boat sank, and a bunch of boats came by. Oh yeah, yeah, and was like, "Hey, come on!" He's like, "No, thank you, God will help me."
And then when he died, he's like, "Why
I sent
didn't
you 5 boats, bro." And it's like, no, thank you. You know, this MBA is going to get me there. No, thank you. This MBA. And it's kind of like you're turning down the thing that you're doing it for.
Yeah.
Like, you're not doing to the MBA for fun. You know what I mean? Or some people have their own businesses and they're literally doing it to get better. And that's a small percentage. And I'll give them that. But outside of that, we are doing this for opportunities. So if you're restricting opportunity for this, switch it. That's what I told them. I was like,
I would say adapt.
Yeah, adapt it. Switch out of the cohort and do an online program. You know what I mean? Which is what most people do anyways. Like, yes, you're going to get benefits from this cohort setting and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, you're only doing this for that opportunity that you're shutting down. Yeah. If you don't stop this program, you know? And that was interesting to me, you know? And it happened to come from somebody that has experience and stuff, right? Like, here's the underlining thing. Those that don't have the experience are literally waiting to get their MBA for that opportunity. Yeah. Those with experience are making decisions mid-program. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's why I told him, I was like, that's where maybe this program isn't for you. Yeah. You know, like, you're in a tier where you're dealing with opportunities mid-program. And maybe a majority of the people here are just literally going to this program because they have zero opportunity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's a different group of people. You know what I mean? And that's the professional one. They got executive or whatever. But it is something to consider. Where, to that statement, sometimes while school is meant to provide opportunities, there's situations where it restricts
opportunities. Yeah.
And
I agree.
You could take that from the AA example, where you could really be getting experience, you know, like you graduate high school, by the time you're 20, you got 2 years in a warehouse, 3 years in a warehouse, versus I got my AA. What it means more when you're trying to get a real job, you know what I mean? And then vice versa, if you got school obligations that are restricting real job opportunities, you got to consider that equally. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree.
It's a thing, especially if the market, you know, I like it because you know what it does? It highlights merit. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it's true.
Because I've talked, even my buddy that was talking to me, I was like, we see people that are in this program to just pass. Yeah. They come in, they don't really care, they're not engaged, they get their 70s to 80s, and they're going to get their piece of paper at the end of the program. And then there's some people that go in and really trying to learn it or whatever. But regardless, this type of structure, highlighting experience over degrees, it's actually highlighting merit. Where, are you better or are you not? And we're not going to have this artificial school thing. School should make you better. If it didn't make you better, then I'm sorry.
Yeah, especially if you're paying that much fucking money for it.
Yeah, like, school should make you better. Your merit should be superior to people without school. And if it's not, then that's your loss.
I agree.
Right? You know, like
especially for the money that you fucking pay. If you don't get anything out of it, like, what the fuck is the point? Yeah,
don't make it a requirement. And if you happen to get somebody that went to school and is better for it, good. Not everybody went to school and is better for it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's a thing that gets neglected when you say this is a requirement for this position. And it's like, not everybody went to school and got the same thing out of it. You know? Like, not everybody went to a accounting program and was thinking of a department to go in and how it applies to the job they're currently in. Most people are just kind of like, I'm good with numbers as long as I pass this and that, and then I'll try it with a CPA firm, see how that goes. And if I, like, that's the majority, you know, and that applies to, and that's accounting. Let's take, like, as you go down, like, to, like, more general degrees, that argument is way higher.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, where it's like, you want somebody in management class that has experience in the industry. Not, I'm in management class, and when I go home, I eat Funyuns and watch YouTube.
Funyuns are good, though.
Fuck that. And guess what? In historically, that kid gets hired before the guy that has 5 years experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Historically. So that's where this type of thinking
needs to be more.
It highlights merit.
Needs to be adapted more.
Highlights merit. If you're young, go to school, because that's the only way you're going to compete with this experience. Yeah. You're not going to get a job over that person that has way more experience, but at least that gives you that 20% bump. So even if you have less experience, but they have no degree, now you're competing a little bit. But you still got to have the merit. you still got to be able to provide, like if experience over everything.
Yeah, that's true. You want to add anything else?
No, man, that was good. It's good topic. It's very similar to things we've talked about before, but I hope we kind of hit it with a different perspective.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Like, follow, subscribe,
share, fucking comment, dislike if you want.
But if you dislike, like we said before, leave a fucking comment. Putos. Not playing.
Something else was about to come out. I was gonna say it. No, that's it.
Pocket watch out.
Out.